YouTube channel near you.
Well, hello there, and good evening, everyone. We want to welcome Dow Dow. Hello, Dow Dow. Kathy A. Nice to see everybody joining in and watching on the outside and inside. Hello, Curtis. Nice to see you there. And Angela, how are you doing?
Doing good. I had a wild paranormal experience last night, for sure.
Really? Let's hear about it.
So I had helped somebody on a suspected murder case and using my gifts and abilities there. And the deceased, was speaking to the spirit box very well. I also passed on my impressions and the information I was getting. At night, I was falling asleep, had fallen asleep, and I heard some odd noises in my room, like out of place noises, like a car horn and things like that. And that's like in my room and very strange. And I kept getting touched, and I was like, "Don't touch me. I'm trying to sleep."
Oh, wow.
And then, I heard this man kept repeating good girl, over again. And it was sort of a little voice with a kind of a lisp to it. And my head and neck, I was jerked off the pillow backwards.
Oh, my gosh.
And my neck was pulled back so hard, I literally got whiplash and got a sore neck. And I spoke straight up and I said, I'm going to destroy you.
Wow.
And there was a tremendous wind that I heard in my room, but the wind didn't move anything, but you heard the sound of wind. And I could feel this energy that was hovering above my bed, and it went out through a closed window. As soon as it went out the closed window, I heard my dog barking something in the yard, like he was barking at something he saw outside that he picked up.
That is insane. And it's interesting how you are advising us what transpired. And what I find sincerely is that animals are able to see the spirits in the afterlife. Cats, dogs, animals in general. Is that when you're telling us that it went through the window, and then within seconds, it sounds like your dog alerted you that there was a presence out there.
Yes.
And that's very interesting because that to me is validation, right, Chris? I know, right? I totally agree with Chris. Whoa.
Yeah, and my neck hurt. My neck is extremely sore. If you ever been in a car accident and had whiplash, that's how my neck felt.
Right. No, absolutely. And then
I was ready to throw down with whatever it was. I don't back down from people that lash out or attack me. I'm gonna be right back.
No, absolutely.
But
a lot of people don't understand. People like you with abilities, right? You are an open light, a window into the afterlife, and people are attracted to that because once they know that they are able to communicate with you or physically touch you when they manifest that kind of energy, because a lot of people don't understand why only certain people have these encounters. So I try to tell people, hey, Lori Gibbs, hi, we miss you. But I try to explain this. Imagine you are out in the middle of a field, complete darkness, and somebody lights a cigarette lighter, right? Or a torch. You can see that for miles. And spirits or energies, demonic, even elementals are attracted to that. It's like a bug with a light, right? Do you agree with that, or what's your take?
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that too. I also believe too, I've been told this and I've learned this. I've been the demonic considers me a high profile target because of the good that's been resulting from my readings or from the work that I do. So I've had these types of attacks, similar ones where they've had the verbal harassment through my earphones with dark entities, threatening, mocking me, taking over my electronics, and even when I was a child, taking over a radio, and then the radio dial went up and down by itself. So,
Right.
and I had demonic entities peeking in my room and things like they don't like you to use your gifts that you've been given. They don't like you to be aware and self-aware that that you are a being of God, a being of light, and that you're doing the work of the light. They hate that, and they want to do everything they can to stop that. So the guy tried to sneak that one in, but I have a feeling he's going to have some angels uh, hunt him down and make him regret what he did. I have a feeling this is probably going to happen to him. He's probably going to regret that he ever tried to get away with that.
Kathy's asking you, Angela, do you think they'll come back again?
I think he will. I think he's out there. He would try. I had some indication of a dark entity that appeared in front of me in church, but it was nobody else could see it. All I could see were the eyes, and the eyes kind of going, moved down, and it was the dark. It was like typical what you would see of some darker entity. So it was. I think it's more of impish type of entity, but I think he will be dealt with. And if it may be when these things happen, it's been my experience that to go out back looking for them with a few spirit friends of mine, and especially the angels, and deal with that entity. They have to face their judgment. So either they're going to be assimilated back into the light, and they're going to have to agree to that, or they're going to be agreed to be destroyed or imprisoned, or they're going to be imprisoned, and they're not going to be able to do that kind of harm. But it was a serious jerk on my neck. So
I could imagine. What's sad? Well, let me ask you this, because I want to dive into this a little deeper, because a lot of people that are non-believers or don't think any of this is real. I understand that, and I do respect that. But let's look into this for a second. So, psychology, right? We always talk about this from time to time on your show and other shows on our channel. I think a lot of people that have schizophrenic issues and other mental illness. We know mental illness is real. We know it is a growing concern across the world and globe, and especially in our own country. But I think one of the things that I talked to with one of my professors is that I think their spiritual eye opens up somewhat. And I think that's why they're hearing voices and seeing things. I think they're actually able to catch a glimpse into the spirit world or another dimension. What is your take on that?
There was a psychologist that came out, and he's a specialist in schizophrenia for many years, like 40 some years of experience in the top schizophrenic specialist. And his opinion was that what people are experiencing are parasites. There are entities that are parasites that are feeding off of our life energy and our mental energy, and some people have more parasites than others. And he thinks that is what's contributing to schizophrenia, is those people are being attacked by parasitic entities, energy entities. And that was his professional opinion, working with schizophrenics for many, many years and treating them for many years. That's a possibility. I've also seen the side where people can induce schizophrenia with how they've been raised as well. But there are ones that don't fall into that, seem to be attacked by parasites, according to this schizophrenia specialist. So there does seem to be an acknowledgement, at least by the professional psychological world, where the analytical psychological, they're supposed to be objective and completely analytical, that there are real entities and extra dimensional beings that have psychological effects on us, and that can be an issue.
Right, absolutely.
And what I find fascinating, this is a link which I think is fascinating. So we talk about chat GPT. Some people have been driven crazy by chat GPT, right? And have done terrible things, psychological damage from these. And
Thank you.
there is a thought that somebody like Steve Quelch had put out, that he thought that since the artificial intelligence is kind of lower vibration because it's synthetic, that lower level entities can actually control some of these experiences through ChatGPT. But then I started to think about them, like ChatGPT. A lot of the artificial intelligence that we developed is essentially a parasite because it's still depending on us for code and for input, and it has to feed off of us, and so it is perhaps acting in a parasitic manner, almost very similar to how demons are said to act in their psychological warfare with people. They want control, and then
No,
the artificial
absolutely. I
intelligence.
totally agree with that. I do. Now, I don't want to send the wrong information out to our viewers or listeners that there are true cases of mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
But what Angela and I are talking about is that there are cases to what Angela is speaking of. And if you look, we got a couple of comments here. It says entities exist in the Bible, and it's happening from the beginning of time. And that is true. And it doesn't matter what religion, what faith or no faith you have, it is real. And
Mm-hmm.
it does happen, it does exist. And Michelle says, I have seen dark entities near me. I try not to fear them and use my faith and pray to push them out. Absolutely. And that's very important. And when it comes to your spiritual work, Angela,
Mm-hmm.
how do you protect yourself?
Now, I tend to emit these rays of light because I'm a being of light, and I've been given the gift of many different rays of light. So I will often emit bright light. And in fact, I lit up a room one time bright red. That was visible red light. It came out of my chest. And I actually had an entity that was, I knew for some reason, I knew it was a parasite. And I could feel it moving under my skin, and it was trying to make its way around. And I actually lit up this red light. And when I lit up the red light, it left. It couldn't tolerate that red light. So I started to do research on infrared light. Infrared light, the bright red light, it actually kills parasites. It's a light range. There's actually light range that parasites live in that can tolerate, and there's some wavelengths of light that they cannot tolerate, that they will die in. So some of the parasites that are in the dark, which is
Right.
applies to the biological ones that we have in this world, cannot tolerate certain wavelengths of light. So if a parasite is some in that extra dimensional, there does seem to be parasites that are either in the invisible spectrum somehow, or they are energy. There's been encounters, description about some sort of energy parasites that have a parasitic nature. These entities, it would make sense that they would also be affected by certain wavelengths of light because that's frequency. And I told a friend about this, and this friend, also psychic with abilities, she was in the hospital, and they were running some routine tests, and she actually lit up a room with white light
Wow.
from it, and the nurses saw white light coming from her. So I emit rays of light. I also, I mean, God has equipped me with these incredible abilities to defend myself because He knows the position He put me in. So I've done battle with these things. He's put the Heavenly Father, the angels put me through training on how to fight and how to deal with these one-on-one using my energy and using my abilities. And I fought a few out of body. There's one I gave a real bad kick to the head.
No,
So I'm out of body.
no,
He thought he
absolutely.
was, They think they have the upper hand, and they don't. I mean, God's given me so many gifts that I don't even know about. They just come out when I get attacked, and I don't back down. And I think that's intimidating for some of them. For at least that alone will intimidate.
It really is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people that don't understand, and we talk about this on Mary's and our show with Mary when we talk about spiritual and God in our prayer channel, is that's why people have mood swings. That's why people become depressed, relationship problems, because spiritual attack is real. And ladies and gentlemen, as we're talking, I am marking your all's comments for us to go back and answer them. So please, as Angela and I are talking, if you have any questions, please put them up there. I'll ask Angela as we're talking, and whatever else, we'll make sure and answer or come back with anything that you want to talk about as well. But it's very important because people don't believe in spiritual attacks. And it's interesting you talk about light. We have been visiting a cemetery here in Memphis. I won't disclose where. And doing live investigations on TikTok and other platforms. And the other night, I had my headlamp on, a pretty powerful beam. I think my headlamp's $200 or $300, right? And it does the IR, it does the red, because I use IR a lot when I film in the dark, so I can see with the camera as well. And during that time, I had the white light on. White light, very bright. I don't remember the luminums. I know it's very high, stronger than the flashlight. The spirit box says bright light, and then it came back. It said it hurts.
Okay.
Now, to me, that's validation. And one of the things that I want to talk about real quickly is one of these gadgets. And these are EMF detectors. And it shows you how far electronic magnetic field is around you. And we take these on investigations and so forth. These are inexpensive. I think you get like 2 for $20 on Amazon. Takes a 9-volt battery. Just make sure you have extra batteries, ladies and gentlemen, because spirit, will it or will not, are able to drain batteries.
And I have an EMF detector. It's a little bit more than that. I had one that was a little bit more expensive because I find these EMF detectors to be very practical too for your house, and to have around them. Check your EMF levels, if the wiring's good or bad, or your electrical box, stuff like that. And I have one that detects also not just EMF. It has a little range. It says safe to dangerous, but also Wi-Fi and other equipment and stuff. So
you got to share it with me off air.
Oh, I got to show that to you. But yeah, and here's the thing: people don't realize they have spirit attachments, and they don't realize how spirit influences. So, like for example, I've been on the phone for work phones for many years in customer service. I notice at the beginning of the day, if I say, I rebuke all these spirits and all these entities that are attached to people, you no longer have any power, I have a better day. And I've actually said prayers in my heart and in my head while somebody's talking, and I'm like, this person, it feels like there's a spirit attached to this person, and the way that they're talking, it feels like a spirit is talking through them. And I'll say a prayer against that spirit, and all of a sudden they forgot why they were calling and why they were yelling. They had no idea where they were or why they were even on the phone. And that is how much the spirit can be sneaky and kind of be there and have that attachment there, and then they get more and more influence over the person. And it's the person's own, I would say, negativity that draws some of those spirits.
Absolutely.
And then there's some that are tremendously powerful light workers that get attacked by entities because they don't want the light to be shared. They don't want to be a part of that evolution of consciousness.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. What's interesting, and somebody, I don't know who made the comment a minute ago, but there are a lot of different EMF detectors out there. I have a high-end one that measures quite a bit, and it goes up very high, more than this one does. The reason why I like using these on investigations or around the house or in people's houses, when I used to go and make contact when people had issues, it's inexpensive, they're accurate, and if somebody accidentally picks it up with other investigations with you, team members from another team, it's no big deal, right? Because it
Right.
happened to me. It happened to me and Mary and I in Kentucky, where we lost, I think, a couple of them. I think they got accidentally mixed or picked up and thought they were theirs. However, but it's a tool to validate if something is going around, because you and I and humans are what? Energy.
Hmm.
Energy cannot be created or destroyed. So when we pass, our energy is just transformed. And we'll definitely circle back and try to see if we can get Mary on maybe the next show and talk about this,
Right.
because we had a spirit, Mary said a minute ago, at the grave site that said it was going to bite her. And she said, "You better not. I will call upon Jesus." And it got upset with the spirit box, with the communication. It was not happy when Mary said that. So, when we look at stuff like this, Angela is very sensitive and does have abilities. But for the ones that do not, it just gives you some validation that something is and or around you.
Right.
And it's just another tool in the toolbox. It's very interesting that when we talk about stuff like this, people don't understand. And you mentioned something a minute ago, and I'm sorry, it kind of slipped my mind. I'm trying to keep up the comments about drawing negative energy to you. How did you phrase that?
Right. Some people will draw the negative entities to them, and
Yes.
some people will do it either they're practicing something dark, or they have themselves a very narcissistic or dark negative persona. Maybe they're self-centered, um, you know, uh, to the point where they are a burden to other people with how they act, and they're going to attract some negative entities with the same intention, and they see those people as tools to continue bullying others in life. So they'll gather around those people and use them, and it'll make their mental state considerably worse.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I think that's where I believe that some of the addictions people have open them
Hmm.
up to demonic or negative energy
Yeah.
and causes problem. And Mary says they feed off the energy and it powers them. Yeah, it really does. And that's one of the things I love about Angela, is that not only can she sense them and feel them and see them and communicate with them, but she also uses tools to prove that it's not
Hmm.
something that's just somebody saying something, right? And
Right.
somebody made the comment a second ago about the EMF detectors, and Angela brought this up. So when you have high EMF fields, electronic magnetic fields, such as power lines, wires in a home, power boxes, junction boxes, and all that, that has a lot of energy in that area, right?
Hmm.
And what happens is spirit or somebody or something in the afterlife can use that
Hmm.
to communicate, to mess with you, touch you, move objects, and so forth. And
But also the EMF that a storm puts out. So the EMF in the front of a storm before the storm actually hits is enough to power a city for a couple of years at least. Just nature puts out a lot of EMF electrically when you talk about the storms, and a lot of paranormal activity will happen just before a storm hits. So,
absolutely,
or
because you
just
have all that static electricity in the atmosphere, it charges it.
mhm.
Just like when you have running water underneath the home, underground wells, underground creeks, limestone, crystals, quartz veins, all that stuff. And
Yeah.
it's just astonishing. And when somebody made that comment about EMF detectors and so forth, that's why we also use other types of equipment when we're out in the field or when we go live, is to show you that it's not that device. It can manipulate other devices. It can manipulate ghost balls, REM pods, or whatever you're supposed to call it now, since that term got copyrighted. So bear with me. I'm still trying to say paranormal device. Did you hear about that?
Ugh.
Yeah,
I've got
somebody
REM
went out
pods too.
there and copyrighted that
Mhm.
name,
Oh,
REM
REM.
pod. Yeah. So anybody that uses that, they're trying to go after them on eBay, Etsy, Amazon. Yeah, it's crazy. But anyways, but that's why we use so many different devices out there, because I have different types of paranormal devices
Right.
to where it takes a lot of energy to manipulate it. Do you get false alarms? Absolutely. Absolutely. It does happen. And I think the person that made that comment is where Angela said, I think earlier, is that you have to do a baseline reading, right? You have to know
Mhm.
the area. You have to
Right.
understand that and use your equipment, because you don't want to always jump the gun that it's paranormal
Right.
or whatever. But because when you have a lot of exposed wiring in a basement in older homes, right?
Mhm.
High EMF fields can make you feel weird, dizzy, nauseous, confusion, and also in some extreme cases, if it's high enough, paranoia. And when you start seeing things, what's that called?
Hallucinations.
Yeah, hallucinations. Absolutely. And back then, 20, 30 years ago, I don't think people realize what they were affecting themselves while having all these high wires or exposed wires in homes and in businesses, because they didn't have the technology to monitor anything like that or to know about it.
Right.
But with people like you, Angela, that have these psychic medium abilities and can also confirm that, yes, this is what is going on, this is confirmation. What's very interesting is the details you get, right? In the
Mhm.
information. And you go in blind, you
Yeah.
don't know anything. And then when you're communicating, right,
Mhm.
you also use your spirit box and you're getting valid, correct responses.
Yes. And that's an also, especially going to a place like Ash Cave, where you can't even get a cell phone signal out there. There's
Right.
nothing. They don't even have phones out there. It's and you go to a cave, right? A cave is like the ultimate place where you should not have EMF. You should not have any Wi-Fi there. There shouldn't be anything there picking that up, but yet you can get EMF spikes in that cave and I got intelligent responses to my questions on the spirit box there. I asked for the Civil War deserters for each man to come forward and give me his name. Well, one right after another, we got a male name, and each man saying his name, one after another on the sweep. You can't get you can't hardly get radio out there, and
No,
that was
absolutely. Totally
that was
agree.
incredible. And then we got some very specific spirits to come through, and that was incredible. I mean, it's incredible. They gave their names, they gave their situation and their wife's name and their son's name, or for their daughter's name in that one case. But um, and of course we were able to um, talk to them and have a conversation on a sweep. And then you can realize some of these devices, when they sweep on like a spirit box or a ghost box, some of the sweeps are so fast it would be impossible to say a full sentence, but yet you'll get a full sentence in the same voice, and that should be impossible just based on how the device operates. So it
Right.
helps to validate that you are speaking with somebody that is coming for it. Plus, it helps validate. That's validation for the spirit too. Um, if you can ask those questions and that they'll talk to you, and then you can ask them. You can have a back and forth conversation, and it's a wonderful experience for those who don't have abilities to have that validation also.
No, absolutely. And it's very interesting that, not interesting that you got attacked. Don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
Because I know when I was younger, a lot of people would be like, "Yeah, that person's cuckoo. They're loony. They got some mental health issues." And I think when it comes to the asylums and everything, I think that's why a lot of people, thank you, a lot of people were in there, not only because of actual legit mental health reasons, right, or issues, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but I don't think every one of them are categorized correctly. And
Right.
it's very important.
Yeah.
And when Angela was talking about using devices in electronic equipment to communicate with the afterlife or the spirit world, it's very important not to assume right off the bat that if a device goes off, it is paranormal. And the
Right.
reason why I say that is that if you don't have abilities, you're not an empath. Like Michelle in her audience, she is an empath and has abilities. But I like using these little devices.
Hmm.
They're inexpensive. They're called cat balls. And I used to use them on my show all the time when I used my boom mic. But when you set them, they have multicolors.
Hmm.
And what they go off is by vibrations or touch. So we lay these out in the graveyard in cemeteries. And if one of these do go off, it's usually because we ask a direct question and we get a response.
Hmm.
And then if it does go off, we'll ask them to either to light it again, right? Make it
Right.
go off again, or please go to another device, a device that we have in the area, and we'll ask them right over here and set this device off for validation. Then when you get that response, it's just to validate that there is something there communicating with
Exactly. And Thomas Edison, and it was definitely was investigating this too. He wanted to develop spirit communication, and you had other vendors at the time. They were actually competing with each other to see who could get better spirit communications with their inventions. And and these were serious inventors. Well, you can't get much more, a serious inventor than Edison, right? So it's been a kind of a long journey. But as we get more advanced, now we're getting into AI. Um, some of those can spirits use that. We're getting back to spirits. Can
And I'm
see
glad you
people
just
through
said
that?
that because somebody in the comments asked you, Angela, what do you think about the internet? And I don't know if they mention AI. Lori, they're called cat balls. If you look on Amazon, you can buy like 6 or 8 or 12, less than 10, $12. They're inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
But the chief exorcist in America, Ron Fahey or Fatal, sorry, sir, if I mispronounced your name, he was talking to us before the show. And for them to do an exorcist in America, they have to go through certain documentation and
Mm-hmm.
validation process. It's not like you pick up a phone saying, I need an exorcist. It
Right.
doesn't happen that way, ladies and gentlemen. It can take up 6 months to a year to have one performed because they have to go back and investigate, validate, prove it, go to the church. They got to get permission, approval. It doesn't happen with the phone call.
Let's say there's a psychological evaluation they have to go
Yes,
through as well.
all that,
They have to
everything.
have a medical evaluation. They have to do. There's a lot that goes into that because they want to exclude the. You have to make sure that they can't explain any other way than something spiritual or demonic. And I keep in mind that people we've had spirit phone calls. There's been documented phone calls before we had computers, right? But we had only wired telephone communication with calls on the other side. So I'm sure that spirits are able to manipulate internet and probably AI and could
Right.
probably
No,
interact
absolutely.
and
Absolutely. And I got a point to make because I'll forget it. Mary said, he even said, the chief exorcist, Ron, I'll call him Mr. Ron so I don't butcher his last name. And she even witnessed what he said. People die waiting for the approval to have an exorcist performed on them or their loved ones. So it is sad. It does happen. I forgot what I was saying. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
and
Angela.
yeah, that people, it's such a long process. They may die waiting. Yeah, absolutely, because oppression is very real, and then possession is very real, and that is heavy. And I am concerned. I was reading a study about how cell phone technology has changed people's brains in such a disturbing
4G,
way.
5G, and
They
now
cannot.
6G.
People cannot think critically. They cannot analyze. They cannot make decisions. They cannot do the basic discipline of delayed gratification. Um, they are psychopaths. No empathy. Zero.
Right.
And
Right.
that is an open door for something dark to come in if there's no empathy and they have no ability to analyze or to um, have some sort of emotions. It's like they're blank, and they talk about the dead stare off of some younger people with excessive cell phone use. It's like where's somebody there? It's like, I worry about their spiritual future. Can they even have a spiritual awakening? If they do, is it going to be from something bad trying to take
Right.
them
No,
over and
absolutely.
influence them,
Yeah.
in a negative way? And I just worry for them. But I'd like to get to some readings if we could today, or we can answer some questions today.
Yeah, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, if you like to have a reading, go ahead and put your name out there, and I'll get to it here in a second. One of the things I want to say too is that when we're talking to the chief exorcist, Mr. Ron, he is from the Catholic Church. He was actually in charge, like I said, of all the exorcists in America. And the thing is that he informed us that he was actually, hey Cindy, welcome to the show. He actually was attacked by somebody that was actually by the church documented was possessed. And how he was attacked, he was not in person. The demon waited for them to film the interaction with the person possessed. And then when he got the footage 4 months later, it attacked him. So that tells you how far advanced that they can plan out to attack a person or people
Exactly.
or your loved ones. It
Hmm.
really is. Chris says, does your intent also affect how much you're affected through these spirits in the afterworld?
Well, I think your attention does. So if somebody, because I know people that do dark magic, right? They're doing that shadow work, and they're putting themselves at risk, and they are deliberately wanting to attack lower entities, or they want to bite lower entities, so they're putting themselves at risk when they're doing that. And there are others that are kind of ignorant of the risk and engage in something dark for entertainment or witchcraft for entertainment purposes, and not entertainment anymore when something shows up. And there are those, I've seen every once in a while generational curses. There's a
Yeah.
generational attachment from somebody that did something way back. And there are those that do have attachments that I wouldn't necessarily would label it their fault, but there's something about their personality that is kind of negative and brings a dark entity. And there are others that are doing extremely good, right? They're doing a lot of good, and like Father Sean Winnington, who I'm friends with, who is an exorcist for the old Catholic Church. And when he's doing those types of good, and he's actually going in and fighting the demonic, of course they fight back, and of course he's going to get attacked in incredible ways. And similar with me, there are people doing incredibly good, and they're getting tapped because they're targets.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so there's a number of ways, but I do not shy away from those attacks. I tell them that you're only increasing my faith. And one of those, when they took over my cell phone and my car radio and my speakers and in my car, and didn't, I was just driving home and started, the demonic laughter coming through the speakers and mocking me. And it's like, you know what? I said to him, and he didn't have a comeback for it. I said, I'm glad you're attacking me because you're actually increasing my faith in Jesus and Mary and the Blessed Mother. And I know that I must be hurting your kind pretty much if you feel like you've got to do this. I must be hurting your efforts and your end. And then it went to this crazy music I've never heard before and never heard since. And then it just stopped and everything just went back to normal. He didn't have a comeback for that.
Wow.
I was laughing. I thought that was funny. If you hit him with that, there's no comeback from that. It's like, what do I do now?
Right.
You're increasing my faith. You're actually being counterproductive right now. Do you know how counterproductive you're being?
Yeah, absolutely. Chris wants to know, Angela, why was my dog so restless at one of the hotels this weekend? His stomach still, do you think it's spirit animals around, ghosts maybe? Please and thank you.
Okay, so let's ask about your dog, Chris, because I'm getting hit with the impression that you were at a haunted hotel.
Wow.
Just what the impression that's hitting me. So let's see what the runes have to say.
Welcome, Joey.
I go through. I keep seeing a woman that was in the hotel room, but she looks like she's from another time, though. She looks like, to me, she's from maybe the 1920s or 1930s.
Wow, you pulled that right from my head.
Yeah, right. And Rune got, this is Thora sauce. I got this was a victim. I got that she was a murder victim. All right, and she's still hanging around there. But I feel like this was gang related, like organized crime. When you're talking about the 20s and the 30s, there was a lot of organized crime. There's a lot of gangsters, right? And I just got a feeling that she was stabbed. I'm getting stomach pains, so I feel like I've been stabbed in the stomach with her. But the rune I'm getting here is that she's looking for peace, and then she's also looking for the light, which is Kenyos, which is a search. This is light. This is literally light. And I feel like that she was there. She's trying to look for the light. She's kind of stuck in her time frame, and kind of from that era, and she's just looking for a way to leave. And right now she's kind of stuck there. She's depressed, and that's part of what's keeping her there. So you just need to pray with her and invite angels in when you go to these places, and ask the angels to help lead those souls out of there, because hotels are just, especially if, not necessarily that particular building, but there may have been a hotel in that same site, prior many years. Like,
no, absolutely, because the ground still holds the energy, whether that building was there or not. Something else could have been there. Joey's asking you, Angela, do you think it was mob or mafia related?
Absolutely. And I'm feeling pain in my lower area, so I felt like she was stabbed. And I felt it was mafia related. So.
Joey, I wondered about you when I first met you and your sister, because I did sense that you are an empath and you are a sensitive person. So hopefully you get that developed. The next one we have here, it says from Anne. She says, "Hi, Angela. There's not much going on in my love life. Do you maybe see something happening good soon in my future?"
I love questions about love, because I do. Because they're all romantic at heart, I think. So, Anne, let's ask about your love life. Let's see what the runes have to say about your love life here. So the first rune I got is Ice, which is the rune of frozen, which is ice. This means stillness, stagnant, nothing much happening. But the next rune, actually this stone actually broke apart, but this is Yara. So Yara is the rune that represents 1 year. I was told by this rune to give it time, that there's more time. So Isa can also mean delay too. And when I'm seeing Yara, that's a unit of time. So give it time is what I'm being told, not to force anything. The next rune I got is Langoose. So Langoose is the flow. It's like the flow of life. It's the flow of water and emotions, and to go with the flow and let this happen naturally. So there is romance coming, but you've got to allow it to evolve naturally. You can't let the universe try to do this in a way that's forced. You can't force the universe to comply with your desire. You have to let things flow the way that they're supposed to flow. I hope that makes sense to you, but that's what the runes are saying.
No, absolutely. I think it makes great sense. And I'm going to tag along with Angela here. But girl, you can't catch fish if you don't put a worm on your hook.
Exactly.
And sometimes you got to wiggle it a certain way to get somebody's attention. And I'll let you think about that for a minute. All right. Let's see here. Dowdell says, Angela, I'm at a casino. Please tell me I'm going to win big.
Oh, let's ask the runes that. That's interesting. So I got Wunya, which is peace and joy. So that looks like some winnings. But I've also got Thorasos, so be careful, which just means careful. So kind of be careful about your surroundings there. Next rune I got is Gabo, which is gift. So the runes are telling me, yes, expect some winnings, some satisfying winnings. I was just going to say, too, a lot of I was told early on when I was studying runes, I was reading about the rune Perso, and it's the rune of luck, and that some of the gamblers would actually have the rune Perso tattooed under their sleeves and everything to help bring good luck. And Perso is the one that looks like the die cup.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'll say this. I'm not a gambler by any means, but from time to time, I may get dragged somewhere, but there is a casino or some type of machines. I ain't going to say what on the air, but I know this. You have to put intent on what you want. You have to have positive thoughts. You cannot be negative, and you cannot play with scared money. So what I'm saying by that, you take a certain amount and you say, this is all I'm going to spend, and after that, I'm done. Because once you realize that, that can also help you. Now, we're not going to get into how to know what machines and everything like that, because there is some information you need to know on different companies, makes, and models and how they work. They're not rigged. It's all randomized. We're not going to talk about it on this show, but I just want to throw it out there. Very interesting. Lori wants to know, let's see here. Angela, this time frame is this the time frame for one of my grands to come back and cover our daughter to produce my Lori? How you just asked, hey, am I going to have another grandchild?
Now, remember, you're reading that one of your grandmothers in a past life was going to come back as a grandchild. So
right.
Now the runes do have a time frame because there's actually a runic calendar where it gives you each rune has a different period of month associated with it. But let's just see what the runes indicate. If this is a time where we're getting closer. I've got Langoose inverted, and I got Feyu, and then I have Yura. So Langoose is upside down, so this is flow, but when I see it upside down, that's to indicate no, there's some sort of delay that's happened. And next rune, this is Feyu, this is money, and I think it seems like the person is waiting for the right time financially. And what it looks like with Feyu is like they're looking for the right month. It's like let's look. It's like the soul is looking, Then we have Yara. So Yara is the rune of 1 year, of one full year. Um, the impression that I'm getting is that she's saying have patience, and she's showing the two here. So it may be up to 2 years or within 2 years.
Oh, so I'll let Angela answer this. For audio listeners on iHeartRadio and the other stations, Angela, I have a comment on how you feel about IVF. And people don't know what IVF is. It's, what is it, Angela?
It is in vitro fertilization.
That
So
is
this is
correct.
when they use little helps for fertilization. So souls are going to come the way they come. Um, I think you have to feel led, and I don't know if in vitro fertilization it may be the right approach first. I think it's a spiritual decision before it's a decision of an impulse. Um, in vitro fertilization is like I'm determined to have my own biological copy. Where if you are someone that's spirit led, you may be led to adopt a child who is already here, right? And it's your job as a provider, as a parent, is to provide a safe place for that soul to develop. So turn that over. I would turn that over as a spiritual search, rather as to have that happen first and consider adopting children rather than in vitro fertilization, because there are souls already here that are searching, right? There are souls that are put here that are searching for parents that are willing to fill that role that they need, and they're going through their lessons, and they need to have their chosen soul parents to help them through their lessons. And I've met so many people that have chosen to adopt children, especially children that had been born in terrible situations, that have horrible health issues, and how much joy that brought them, and what wonder that they were meant to be together. When you see them together, they were meant to be parent and child, even though they're not biological. And it just you just feel the blessing and the joy of spirit just coming off of that relationship. It's just amazing to be around. So
No,
I think it
absolutely.
has to be a
Absolutely.
spiritual search first, and see what spirit has to say first before you jump into something like that.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, for the viewers watching now and for the viewers in the future, if you are thinking about any type of process like that, meditate, and pray on it, and ask for assistance, whatever your faith belief is, whether it's God, universe, earth, light, however you want to call it. That is your decision, but pray on it, and you will see the answer and whatever should be correct for you and your family. It
Right.
is a hard decision. It is. Mary in the comments said she went through it and it was a rough process. But it's not like we're cloning, like Angela said. To me, it's a little bit different. I think God has given us technology to help people, but also if you are able to, what do you call it, Angela? To adopt
Adopt, right?
unfortunate children, and if that is in your heart, whether you can or cannot reproduce, it's okay. There's a lot of people that do both, that can have children
Mm-hmm.
and still adopt, or vice versa. It's whatever is in your heart, and God leads you. We're not here to dictate or to approve or disapprove in anything you do. It's not our choice. We're just here to help guide you and maybe help and answer any questions you may have.
Right.
And that's one of the things I adore about you, Angela, because you're so honest and sincere, and you got such a big heart. So,
Because there are souls that you have to ask to be matched up to the right souls. But you can, there are souls waiting to be born. Obviously, if you feel led, that child will be born. You have to ask heaven, okay, can you match me up with the soul that I'm meant to be with? Just like if you have a soulmate, right? You might have a child that you are meant to be the parent of, right? That soul is
Right.
meant for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Lori, we'll pray for you, and we'll pray
Mhm.
for anybody that needs prayers, and we're here for you guys. Angela, what a
Mhm.
fantastic show. Again, how do people find you and reach out to you for readings in personal messages and one-on-ones?
Well, you can just Google Angela Bowley, Psychic Portrait Artist. The first two results, there's my website and then my Facebook page. So you go to my Facebook page, Angela Psychic Portrait Artist, and you can just send me a message there or leave a comment and get a hold of me there. And of course, I have my email address, asupersquirrel@gmail.com. And you can
It
look at
is a
my,
real email address, a
yes,
secret squirrel at
asupersquirrel@gmail.com. And, it makes people smile. So, I got that email. But also when you go to my website or my Facebook page, you'll see my events too, and you can just shoot me an email. You can show up at one of the events. You can send me a message on Facebook, and you can get a hold of me. And you can also get a hold of me through GhostPatrol.com now. So the Ghost Patrol is based in Ohio, and they are a company that handles ghost tours and things like that. But I have been doing work for them, and I can do readings for people, and I've done paranormal investigations, led paranormal investigations, and they're also using me to provide services to people, their psychic portraits and readings and so forth, that you can sign up through ghostpatrol.com as well.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I did not have this planned, but Angela, on
Mm-hmm.
a weekend, you're not providing readings for people and not at a
Mm-hmm.
convention. Would you be interested in going live with us in the cemetery and give us some feedback and what you feel and what you see and what you
Absolutely.
see with our interactions with our equipment and so forth?
Absolutely. I would love to do that. And I've actually had a friend of mine. He went to a cemetery that was out in the middle of nowhere, and we did a live on that. And I was getting my impressions, and I was getting communication from spirit to me, from spirit to the cemetery to me,
See,
back and forth.
that would be great.
That was
Yeah.
awesome, and a lot of them you could tell they were in the surnames are all German. So I started asking questions in German, and they would answer in
Oh,
English, but they would answer immediately. Well, if Reggie was that my friend was speaking in English, they would kind of be delayed in the answer. But if I asked it in German, because I would figure, okay, this is second and third generation Germans, they probably heard their grandparents speaking German. It's probably comforting to them. So I would
now do
ask
you
questions.
say ish or ick?
I say ish.
Ish, yeah. Yeah, upper and lower German, right? So we're already getting feedback. Yes, they would love to see that. They would love to have that. Care Bear, that would be awesome. Would love to see that too. Good night, Care Bear. And hey, Angela, great show. We'll get that arranged,
Great.
get that in motion. We'll get that planned, and that way people can know ahead of time. So we'll try to figure that out, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you again. Any last words, Angela?
Well, have a great night. Please say your prayers before you go to bed. It's not your intention to be protected as you sleep, and I do the same thing. I'm just more particular. I have my blessed salt next to me, and that's what I use when I want to sleep. I put blessed salt. So say your prayers, and you have your faith. Make sure you are in touch with your guides, and throw out love. When you throw out love, put it in the form of light, and love is a beautiful pink ray. Put that out there and watch these dark entities just back away from you.
That's awesome. And from coast to coast, around the world, everybody, from our family to yours, good night and God bless. We'll catch you on the next show. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, should we run?
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not a chipmunk? Action. No, I'm out of here. Action.
It's a grizzly.
I'm out of here.
Huh. Maybe it is a chipmunk. It's a grizzly.
Are we gonna die?
I don't know. We're just gonna sit here and listen and watch.
Let's get out of here, maybe.
Fall!